Well, let's talk a bit more about Alibaba's wider strategy now with Ari Zoldan, CEO of Quantum Media Group. Thanks for joining us, Ari.
Hey, Rachelle, great to be here.
Now, we're also seeing Alibaba having this push to be a data company. Why is this transformation so important for them?
Well, if you think about it, and it's not just, Rachelle, it's not just Alibaba being a data company, but it's the entire technology ecosystem. People are so focused thinking that they're building products and services, but what's really behind that is data, and is data points, and these companies are collecting from the end user what their habits are, interests, their sex, and Alibaba too. Look, they shipped out 30 billion packages last year. They've got 500 million customers on their platform. And Rachelle, that's a lot of data. So if you think about it, not that they're moving away from e-commerce, but I think they're starting to look at themselves more as a data company versus an e-commerce company.
So then how integral is this to focus on big data when it comes to the company's business and its revenue outlook?
Well, it's very important. I mean, aside from, again, whether Alibaba sells the data or not, I think really Alibaba's focus in understanding their customers. And when they collect this quote unquote big data, they're able to parse it out, break it down, and then understand their customer better to be able to serve them up potentially new products.
So if you're a consumer and you're looking at what Alibaba is doing, you're thinking, how does it want to leverage and monetize this data? What's the plan there?
Well, it's twofold. The fact that they're producing an enormous amount of data, which means that they're going to be one of probably the largest holders of data in the entire world by far, but also gives them the opportunity to be able to build data centers, Rachelle, and also offer additional bandwidth. And similar to what Amazon Web Service does, now Alibaba is playing in that space as well.
And to your point about these data centers, what do you make of Alibaba's recent moves in terms of setting these up in Asia and also in Europe?
I think it's an obvious move, and I think it's a no-brainer for them. Look, Rachelle, Amazon Web Services, the numbers are incredible. People think they make a lot of their money from e-commerce, which they do, but the actual AWS subscription services reached $10 billion last year. Obviously, Alibaba is interested in that market, and I think they're gonna take some of the pie away from Amazon.
Now let's look at an issue that a lot of online commerce companies face, which is counterfeiting. We know that Alibaba launched its Big Data Anti-Counterfeiting Alliance this year and credits this improved data with a higher removal rate of counterfeit goods, really trying to improve its credibility and the consumer experience. What sort of progress are we seeing on that front?
Well, I mean, I think it's very important. I don't think, it's going to change overnight because unfortunately, and I was just in China last week, Rachelle, and unfortunately, there's still so much, when you hear China, you think industry, you think, yes, there's a counterfeit industry. So I think that there needs to be, and I'm happy Jack Ma is in the United States to actually address this issue. And the fact that they're dealing with it head on, I think they're definitely in the step in the right direction.
And speaking of being taken head on, we saw that there's a recent battle with logistics delivery company SF Express. What's your take on the developments there?
I mean, they've got to get along, Rachelle. Again, Alibaba, 30 billion packages. Most of it went through logistic companies like SF Express. They got to get along. Obviously, they're fighting about the data, and that's critical, and I get that. But at the end of the day, when those two big companies start fighting over the end user, the only ones that suffer is the end user and the customer.
So do you think we can expect more issues when it comes to data ownership with companies that work with Alibaba? And if so, what could the consequences be?
Yeah, there's no question. I mean, the consequences is going to be to the consumer, to the end user, and their data is going to be compromised one way or the other. Obviously, in the area for them to be able to protect the data. And obviously, when there are two companies battling out to get that single piece of data, it's not good for the customer.
And as Alibaba continues to expand into other regions, other countries, and adding this extra layer of big data, what do you see as potential regulatory hurdles as Alibaba expands?
Well, it's a good question. There's a couple of them. One, the fact that they're a Chinese company trying to get into the U.S. market, and also understanding the regulatory landscape, I think, is the first challenge. The second challenge, obviously, is the consumer being comfortable not parking their data with Amazon, but with Alibaba. But I think as Alibaba's brand becomes more and more recognized in the U.S., I think people are going to have a real viable choice soon.
All right, thank you again for your insights, Ari Zoldan, CEO of Quantum Media Group.